He met this guy for a few minutes. He had this strange little device that he was brushing on his arm. This guy brushed his arm for about 7 or 8 minutes and then said, "Okay, you're done now." You should have seen the look on his face. It was complete astonishment. And lo and behold, he stood himself up and his pain was gone. He was completely healed.
Welcome, everyone. We are here again for our weekly lives. We try to do these every Thursday. Sometimes we have something that comes up and we can't join you, but we are really excited to bring a wonderful interview today with Michael Upstone. He has an incredible thing that he's doing. He's got a wonderful organization that I'm going to be talking about. And before we get into that, though, I want to say if you are a practitioner looking for a community to help you become more visible with your products and services, please head over to community.frequencyfamilymarket.com. We would love to meet you and find out more about you. We really have a growing community over there, as well as a place that you can showcase what you do. And if you're a frequency seeker, you're not a practitioner, you're not a healer, you're not a creator, you're just looking for frequency solutions, head over there as well, because that's where a lot of the solutions are. We are constantly updating it with more information, articles, information from vetted practitioners who have been working and doing this and living and breathing the frequency field for a long time. And it's just a beautiful place to come over and get connected. I know that this page, it's great for connection, but I know also from what I've heard from some of you is it can become overwhelming. So we created this smaller community that is more intimate, divided up into lots of different sections that has a lot of great information there. So head over there, check it out, reach out with any questions that you might have. We are there to help you find the answers and come to good frequency solutions for your health, well-being, mental health, clarity, spiritual wellness. We also have breakout groups that are starting to happen, which I will also be talking about more here in a little bit, which is really exciting. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Michael. But before that, hi, Michael. How are you?
Fine, thanks, Shannon. How are you?
I'm first going to read your bio, if that's okay,
Of
because
course.
there's a lot of good nuggets in here that I don't want anyone to miss. So, Michael Upstone, president of Keep Health. It's a nonprofit health technology research organization based in Austria. Uh, Keep Health specializes in advanced home use devices and works with a diverse range of individuals, from experienced energy healer practitioners to doctors, clinicians, and those new to home healing. The organization supplies a select range of technologies, including devices developed from the Russian space medicine program in the 1970s and 80s. Their primary focus is energy healing and regeneration, addressing injuries, illnesses, including chronic and degenerative conditions, and emotional trauma as if it never happened. Keep Health conducts research, provides training, and offers both individual and group support to members. Their key area of research involves integrating some of the world's most advanced regenerative technologies in the pursuit of better and faster healing outcomes. Additionally, they offer teachings on remote healing and provide a wealth of free educational resources. So, welcome, Michael. Thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Charlotte.
So glad to have you here. I knew whenever you started to pop up in the group, I was paying attention because you're really doing a lot of great things. And I just wanted to be able to highlight you because you have so much good knowledge and you really know how to verbalize that. I think you had said you've been doing this for 17 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it makes me feel old.
Yeah, I understand. So please tell us a little bit about how you got into this field. What was it in your life that drew you to it?
Sure. So, yeah, we're going back to probably the early 2000s, actually. I I'd realized, more and more that there were things that weren't quite right with the world. And so I was, scouring the internet and researching everything and connecting with people and going down a whole host of different rabbit holes. But one led me to information about Reich and Rife and Tesla and people like that. So the energy healing thing popped up reasonably early. And it was a very strange sort of introduction, actually. I met a British businessman. I was a photographer at the time, and I went over to discuss some products that he had to display pictures. And so he was running his own business, and it was a very successful operation. And I just ended up talking to him, and for whatever reason, it subsequently emerged to be kind of like a bit of a consciousness test, because he kept on asking me these weirder and weirder and more and more sort of obscure questions, really. I guess probing how much I was um, finding out about how the world really worked. Anyway, in this conversation, he mentioned the frequency-based healing technologies and said, "Have you heard of scanar?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And his secretary was there, and she chipped in and she said he was bent double, unable to work. He tried to drive himself to this practitioner, couldn't even do that. So she ended up driving him to a scanar practitioner. And so he picked up the story, and he was talking about how this guy, he met this guy for a few minutes. He had this strange little device that he was brushing on his arm. And the secretary burst out laughing, howled with laughter, actually. And she described how this guy brushed his arm for about 7 or 8 minutes and then said, "Okay, you're done now." And she said, "You should have seen the look on his face. It was complete astonishment." And lo and behold, he stood himself up, and his pain was gone. He was completely healed from this. Very, very. If you've ever had a bad back injury, you know how horribly debilitating it is, and painful. So, and I was so intrigued by this, I arranged to meet this guy. I really had nothing wrong with me. But I got a little sort of neck and shoulder massage and one or two other things. And he said, "Just observe your body for the next, overnight or whatever, and we'll meet for a coffee in the morning." And what I found was that I was on my way to meet him in the morning, and I looked at my digital watch then, and I could see that I could differentiate quite clearly between a 1 and a 7.
Mm.
And I hadn't been able to do that for a long time.
Wow.
And the other thing was I had a sort of slight pain in a rib, there and gone, click, click. And I asked him about that, and he said, "Well, I don't know. It's your body." And the subsequent conclusion was I'd broken a rib there, and that was the rib popping back into place. So I was open to it, but I was completely convinced by that experience. And then I got myself a scanar, first generation scanar from the Russian space medicine program. I did a couple of weekend courses, and then since then, I guess I've treated probably about somewhere in the region of 700, 800, 900 people. But I got more and more into different devices over the years. That's it.
Wow. That is incredible. I love it. I love those instantaneous when you start using frequency therapy, there are so many things that seem to just start correcting themselves. Even things that we didn't even realize that we had.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
happens so often. I hear that with a lot of people that, eyesight gets better or whatever it might
Mm.
be. So the scanar device, this is something that you then started looking into that, and then the Russian space medicine program has more things that they already had developed, and that's what introduced you first was the scanar. And
That's right. Yeah.
how did you get into then treating people? Was that some kind of certification, or what did you do to start doing that, or just out of pure passion and love?
Well, I did the training. I really wanted to know how to use the device properly, and so I got certification from those training sessions. But you've got something which is basically the size of the new one, the latest device. This is the fourth generation device, so this is bigger. This is probably getting on for twice the size of a scanar, so you can just get a feeling for the size of this thing, a real pocket-sized device. But if you've got one, then in my case, I wanted to carry it with me all the time. So I did, and I would see people with problems. I was very excited about the device, so then I would just offer to treat people. And I've done this now for, 17 years or so, basically just helping people for free or doing it on a donation basis. And then, so that gave me a lot of experience, and I was just seeing these phenomenal results, but sometimes what I would describe as miraculous first time results from these things. And so the Scanar was the sort of introduction, and now we're on the fourth generation device, and I've used all of the devices along the path as well. But there were three sort of main technologies came out of the Russian space medicine program. So we describe these as electrical adaptive stimulators. They stimulate healing adaptive reactions by the body by putting in frequencies, but also there's an information and there's a feedback side to this as well. The next one was things called healing blankets, which are kind of like an energetic mirror, if you like. They actually have thick cotton layers on the outside, but a layer of palladium on the inside, which is it reflects the biofield, the aura, the energy projections of the body back to the body, not just to preserve energy and reflect it back in, but also help the body to have a better distribution of its own energy. And then the third element that came out is what we know now as bioresonance diagnostics. So working in the opposite way, if you like, to the Scanar and the other devices, which is that this sends in resonant frequencies to detect viruses, parasites, bacteria, and fungi. It identifies the biggest problems, and then, like an opera singer singing a certain note, it sends in the resonant counter frequency to those problems and shatters the virus or the
Mm.
bacteria or whatever. But more importantly, then, it also plays in frequencies to support the body's waste disposal systems, because this is one of the problems that Reich had with his orgone therapy, was that a super successful destruction of something like a cancer can then lead to an overwhelm of toxic byproducts in the body. So the body needs assistance to do its spring cleaning afterwards as well. So those are the three sort of main elements coming out of the Russian space program.
Wow. So can you tell us a little bit about what each one of them would target? I know there's a little bit of a difference between the instruments, so just break that down for us a little bit.
Okay, well, let's kick off with the Scanar first of all. So the Scanar is an energy healing device. It puts in various resonant frequencies electrically through the skin, but it's not just that. It also cunningly has a sort of carrier frequency, which is made to look like a nerve impulse of the body, which looks like a heart impulse, which we've all seen on the monitors on television. But they gave it a little tweak, and the key issue is that the skin damps that, so it changes the signal quite considerably. So they had to then work a way around that, but ultimately they created a signal that looks like a pain signal to the body. It's got a little spike on top looking up like a pain signal, and also a biofeedback mechanism. So basically what the Scanar does is it provides energy now that the body can recognize as its own, used for its own healing and communications. It cleans up the communications by removing blockages or by tapping on the brain saying, hey, there's a great big pain signal going on in the body. So it can then either break through the blockages or plot its way around them, because the two main reasons why a body won't heal or won't heal rapidly are lack of energy or poor coherence or communications. But the third byproduct of a Scanar is that the brain is stimulated to produce something called neuropeptides, which is the body's natural healing pharmacy. And what that means is that although you can get instant results with the Scanar, the release of these peptides goes through the system and continues the healing process for hours after a treatment. So that's an energy healing device. What does it do? It deals with pain very, very effectively. It deals with inflammation and all sorts of other issues, but it promotes very rapid healing. And so that's what we call an energy healing device. How rapid? Well, one of the examples I saw was a little boy who trapped his finger in a door. It was obviously causing him a lot of pain. He was crying. It was cut. It was becoming swollen. We put the Scanar, used pads actually either side of his finger, treated him for a few minutes. The pain went away, which is quite typical with a sort of situation with Scanar. cleaned up his finger, and then the next day there was no scab, there was no scar, there was just a little white mark where the cut had been. No inflammation, no bruising, no nothing. The next generation was called Cosmodic, and that has not one but 46 simultaneous biofeedback loops to the body. So that's working in a completely different way. If we can consider that the scanar is like the brutal Marine Sergeant Major kind of thing, bursting into the barrack room and shouting, get up, get out of your beds and heal yourselves, then this is something which is much deeper, much softer, and much more subtle. And it has less dramatic impacts on pain, but it's going down and stimulating results from the central nervous system, which are regenerative. So if you're unlucky enough to have something like a heart attack, your heart needs to repair itself very, very rapidly. And that usually leads to a scar. The same goes with cuts, the same goes with operations, with burns and things like that. So what a regenerative device will do is help the body to go back to its original form as if it never happened in the first place. So this applies to illnesses, injuries, but also emotional traumas and things like that, because mind, body, and spirit, everything is connected. So, and the devices, one of the great benefits is the devices don't care about what you think about your traumas or blockages or anything like that. They just have this energetic conversation with the body where the body knows where it wants to go to. So that's a regenerative device as opposed to an energy healing device. But the problem with the Cosmodic was it didn't have that brusque sort of sergeant major kind of impact in terms of immediate pain. So the developers were very clever about this, and they then put both of these modalities now, modes, into one device, where the body actually chooses which one it wants, how much, and it changes the proportions dynamically through the treatment. And it tells you when it's had enough as well. And then two more modes have been added since then, called ENS and Cosmodic Plus. So this is in the very latest device. This is it. This is an ENS Plus. And so this thing will recognize when it's touching the body, will turn itself on, and oops, it's upside down, and will begin to treat automatically. So you see those little sort of green semicircles flicking around in the middle there, and basically through the treatment they will change, their percentages will change according to what the body requires at that time. So this is really quite a sort of Star Trekky kind of device, if you like, and in fact I think it's unique in terms of it's so highly tuned, it's got such accurate feedback mechanisms, and such a wide range of frequencies that it has to be built in a satellite factory, and even then most of them don't pass the quality control. So the healing blankets, that's another thing that we've sort of covered, and then the bioresonance diagnostics, lots of companies are developing that as well to tackle the whereas these things support the body dealing with its issues, the bioresonance is more about clearing the pathways, the energetic drag factors and things like that more directly.
So do you know what the original mission was for the Russian space medicine program to create these products? What were they using them for?
Yeah,
Besides,
what was the reason? That's a
yeah.
great question. So as sort of quite a few people know now, when you drink the municipal water supply, you're taking in the estrogen pill. So taking out the estrogen from the water from people's, and there's all sorts of drugs in municipal water supplies as well. But to take out that level of contamination in space, because all the water's recycled, so everyone's drinking what had been urine in space, takes a bigger, heavier machine. And space is such a hugely expensive business, and that taking something bigger and heavier into space costs a lot more money. So there was this realization of, well, and we can't carry a whole pharmacy either. So really, we need a completely different approach to medicine. And of course, it was linking in at the same time with the uh, the issues of, known by Chinese medicine and Indian medicine to do with, chakras and all the rest of it, homeopathy as well. There's a lot of common underlying threads as to how this works, of course, because it's all about frequency. So that's how they developed that. In terms of the healing blankets, they came from the cosmonauts uniforms. So they need a kind of radiation shield in space, and so that's what the uniforms were designed to assist with. But what they found was, the cosmonauts might turn up not feeling too good one day, but the training's very important, it's very expensive. And what they were finding was, oh, I'm quickly beginning to feel better when I'm wearing my cosmonaut's uniform. So whether that was done intentionally or not, what they found was when they investigated, yes, it was acting like this energetic mirror, and assisting the body in terms of its energy distribution. So we tend to, in an ideal world, um, wrap people up in healing blankets after they've been treated with these technologies, or the other ones that we use indeed.
Wow. So are they still using using these devices in their program that you know of?
Um, I don't know, actually. I mean, I suspect that they do, because obviously, well, here's one of the problems. So it was all secret work until sometime, I think, after the year 2000. So they put over 1,000 of their top biophysicists, doctors, engineers into this program for 10 years. So 10,000 years of elite sort of brain power, if you like. It cost them over $100 million. And so, what do? You keep it secret. It's just for the top people, kind of thing. But what happened around about the year 2000 or shortly afterwards was that Russia had a financial crisis, and now they're looking around as to how do we create more money? How do we change our financial position? So as a result of that, um, the scalar and associated technologies were declassified, and they then started to sell them. So that's how they sort of came out to the public, very late, effectively, but with continuous development going on for all this period. And so some of the original developers from the program, in fact, are still involved with this company.
Wow. And I know when I had first started talking to you, the terms, med bed and those types of technologies are very kind of known to this community, although I feel like we have yet to really see something like that come out on the market as far as I know,
Yeah.
uh, at least to that level of claim that they have had. And you kind of likened these to almost like a home device type med bed.
Mm.
Do you feel like it would be doing that type of work that those have been talking about doing?
Well, I can't say, to be fair, because I haven't experienced the medbed. I was, however, working with, there may be more than one, with a medbed company for a while, helping to do some sort of consulting work. And, I'll just speak from a personal position. One thing I didn't like was the business model. Um, so they were not going to be selling med beds, they were going to be renting them only, and for $1 million a year. And so for $1 million a year, compare that with a device that you can buy for, this is the top of the range device, 13,000 euros. So this will, in the vast majority of cases, have an immediate impact and cure um, wide numbers of chronic illnesses, the things that doctors honestly believe are not curable. And I've had just amazing results with this technology. But we also combine these with other technologies like this. This is a soft laser. This one's from the US. And this is an unusual device in that it synergizes with the other devices that we use, but it works in a completely different way, not by electrical energy, by putting light energy into the cells. And another very, very good, very well proven regenerative technology. So our speciality is putting these things together and synergizing them for not just 1+1, but exponentially better and faster results. So in that case, I suppose you could equate it to how a medbed works. But my feeling is that I don't know how many they're going to produce, but if you've got a device that's costing you $1 million a year, to rent, then you probably want to be doubling that in order to make a return on your money. And then you need the staff, you need the receptionists, you need the sales, the marketing, all the rest of it to go along with it. So I did sort of a bit of a back of a cigarette packet, sketch on this, and I thought, well, these people are going to have to be charging um, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month to be able to run med beds for people, and it's being run as a commercial activity, and on that basis, people are going to be charged a lot of money for this. So, and they are at the moment if they go to, just a frequency-based clinic. So the beauty of these devices is, we can have them at home. We can become the clinic effectively for ourselves, for our family, and we're not sort of tied to that kind of model where we're permanently renting something. So I had kind of a few misgivings over the medbed thing, and the question is, can we maybe even produce something better by combining, multiple regenerative technologies together, and that's our game effectively. So these plus hydrogen therapy, plus colloidal silver, and other things, and how good are the results when we carefully select these things and put them together and combine them in a home environment.
Right. So you not only provide access to these devices, but you also provide education to teach people not just how to use these devices, but it seems like your education even goes further than that to really teach about how to determine what your body needs and to ask the right questions and be able to really get down to the root of what you need for your specific situation because everybody's different. It's not just one size fits all, which
Yeah.
I think sometimes people want it to be that, like, "Just give me something," but we really need to ask the right questions. We really need to find out exactly, the pathway that we need to go down. So you provide some of that education for people?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, we try to be as holistic as possible. So we cover things like, dry fasting, which stimulates autophagy in the body, which is based on the work of Dr. Yoshinori Osumi from Japan, who won the Nobel Prize for this. He was specifically talking about cancer and other issues where if you deprive the body of not just food but water for 18 hours, a couple of times a week, then the body effectively starts to consume itself, and it does it brilliantly intelligently. It's such an incredibly sophisticated vehicle that we've got here that it'll start off by focusing on things like cancer and destroying them and consuming it. So, but we also cover things like nutrition, supplements. Um, it's really quite a sort of holistic thing, covering the environment for people. pH is a really important one, and how to sort of re-establish a good pH balance in your body, because we can't say, and I don't think anyone can fairly, that will one device um, heal absolutely everything. And if not, then we should be considering things like toxic events, detoxes. We should be considering supplements if there's a deficiency. Now, we know with some things, we can stimulate those effects. We can stimulate um, uh, energy effects in the body, but also glutathione stimulation by the body, which is the body's master antioxidant, and carnosine production and things like that. But will that jumpstart every process if there's a deficiency, or if there is the residue of a toxic event going on? I can't say. I don't know anyone who can, and maybe people can say, but we basically in that situation say, hey, especially if you've got a serious chronic issue, a degenerative issue, or maybe multiple serious degenerative issues, then let's cover all the bases. So we really try and cover that in our training package so that people are aware of that, they ask the right questions, and that's the right place to start for all of this stuff. Because even, these also have contraindications.
Mhm.
Um, Now they're relative in this case, which means that they're not uh, um, like golden rules, but um, we need to pay attention to that as well, because we don't want to inadvertently have people causing problems for themselves, and they can.
Exactly. Well, I want to show everyone before we move on where they can find you. So we have a sister community, Frequency Family and Market. It's a community and a market, but we are starting these new things that we're calling breakout circles. We just really found a need for every practitioner that comes into our sister community has a different area of focus, and so what we're doing is creating. Let me just show this my screen here. Is the right one on there? Yes, good. Okay. What we're doing is creating these circles. We've got several of them already, but Michael is starting one. Let's just go here to the welcome page. And this is where you guys can come interact with Michael. This is a totally free platform that you can come and be a part of and learn and grow and connect with who resonates with you. I mean, Michael is going to resonate with some and may not resonate with others, but he has an entirely focused space here talking about um, his Keep Health organization and also providing information. So there's going to be lots of video resources. Again, I literally just opened this. We opened it for him yesterday. So we don't have anything in here today yet, but when we get off of this call, we're going to be coming over and filling this up with some really great informative videos on the subject. There's also a feed section here, so you can come and ask your questions directly to Michael, and he will also, I think, be holding some events over here as well. So this is a great place to come and communicate and find out the answers that you're looking for, as well as have some education and also partake in all of our other features that we have in this community. We have frequency lists and a library. We've got a lot of science videos. We have gifts from other practitioners that are in here, and we also archive all of these interviews and lives over here in this community. So, and then we also have a marketplace that we will look at here in a second. But we're always filling it with new things, new articles, new information, truly to help get this information out to the public. It is so needed that we are coming together really as like-minded individuals at this time and helping to increase the momentum and the energy of these types of modalities in the world. I really truly believe that this is where it is headed, because this is what resonates with our natural state of being. So I'm really excited to be able to provide the sister community to this Facebook group. So if you haven't seen it already, please come over there. It's community.frequencyfamilymarket.com. So I also would like to hear, how do these devices, because I know these are not as well known as, Rife machines are talked about all the time, even biofeedback machines and apps and just raw frequencies that people are using, which are great. And we get great results with those as well. And maybe that might even be the best choice for some people. But these are different. And I would love for you to tell us, just in comparison, how do these operate differently? You've already, I think, shared a little bit of that, but just as in a direct comparison here.
Yeah, sure. What we found is that, various things really have um, very, very good applications in specific situations. So when we look at the whole world of, frequency healing devices, for example, we find that, certain brain training technologies, which we also work with, have improvements in IQ. If you have a look on our website, you'll see a picture on the affiliates page, I think it is, where there's a little girl who's, I think about sort of 9 or something like that, who's had a traumatic brain injury, where the eyes are sort of cloudy and misted. She's just gazing off into space, and the mouth's open, and she's drooling. And then 12 minutes later, you see this girl, and the eyes are clear. She's completely focused on the camera, and it's like you can see the life has come inside her. Well, those kind of things can boost IQ permanently, typically by a minimum of 10%. And when someone's had a massive brain injury, by 30% or more, which is huge. So all these things have their different sort of applications. So the sports, professional improvement, illnesses, injuries, etc. Um, but the there are various things that we need to know about whatever modality we choose. So the sort of typical questions are, what's it best suited for? And then um, how long do I use it for? So what's the dosage effectively? Um, because we don't want to end up with a situation of tolerance as well, which is another issue, which is where it's kind of like, if everyone's got a favorite song, if we hear that song all day, every day, week in, week out, month in, month out, then eventually, we tend to get irritated by it, or we turn off to it. And the body has this response as well. So this is the kind of situation where you might have a sort of nagging pain in a shoulder or something like that for decades as a result of an injury, and you more or less forget it some of the time, but it's still there. But for some reason, the body's blocked the capacity to heal that. So tolerance, healing crises, all these sorts of things need to be considered for whatever modality we want to use. So that means that some of these things work in opposite ways. So the laser, for example, this will kill bacteria directly. It will deal with bites and stings and burns and all sorts of stuff, and it's regenerative. But you don't want to overuse a soft laser. If you do, then this thing is brilliant with so many things, including pain and inflammation. But if you use it too long, then what happens is you might start off with pain of sort of 7, 8, 9 out of 10, something like that. During the treatment, that can go down to 0. But if you use it too long, very quickly, it's like the body becomes overloaded with this, and bang, everything becomes undone. All the pain comes back instantly. So it can feel actually worse than it felt in the first place. So you don't overuse a laser. We have specific ways of using lasers where we make sure we don't use it too much. Whereas this thing, we can use it whenever we want, wherever we want, as much as we want. And in fact, it will actually tell you when it's made a difference. It will tell you there's no point treating here anymore, and it will actually turn itself off under certain circumstances when it knows the body doesn't need any more. So all these, there's a wide variety of devices now coming to the market, and very few of them are really being supported by, good training and support and things like that. So we need to be aware of these sort of attributes of these different things. Otherwise, it would be very easy, if I was experienced in this, to go, okay, well, I'm just going to do loads and loads of treatment with my laser, and then I end up with a problem, or someone else does. So the understanding of the different attributes of the devices becomes, sort of quite important then with our selection for a particular issue. Now, I guess, in terms of where we specialize, we've come from this background of electrical adaptive technologies and reactions. Excuse me, I'm just going to make sure my laptop is plugged in.
As we're doing it, I'm going to share. I pulled up this picture.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think,
got
I
it.
think this is the picture.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, wait a minute. What's going on? Here we go.
yeah,
Yeah, so you can see she's definitely processing a
yeah.
little more there in that second picture. Do you find that this has an effect on neuro health in,
Oh, yeah.
different
Oh, yeah,
ailments go on?
absolutely. I mean, I guess in contrast, that's brain training. But in contrast, the electrical adaptive stimulators, brain training can lead to, some quite difficult healing crises. So if you've had a very traumatic event in the past, you can end up with a healing crisis as a result of that, and that could be, they can be some healing crises can be quite sort of difficult. So we'd anticipate that'll be much smoother, using an electrical adaptive stimulator. But that picture really moved me. Those pictures when I first saw them, and it still does actually, because you imagine, being the parent of that child or the child itself, and suddenly that child's got a life, and potential can be unlocked. And it's the same with all of us, really. Everyone gets this sort of IQ boost from that kind of technology, but they've all got these different sort of attributes. There's very few, in fact, there's none really that I can think of where everything's completely straightforward. So one of the most straightforward ones is hydrogen therapy or Brown's gas. And this is another energetic therapy because, and it sounds like all of these things, it sounds odd to people, but basically a healthy gut will produce 100 litres of bioavailable hydrogen every day. And that's used for electron transfer with all of the cells of the body. So hydrogen therapy really has no sort of limits to its dosage. It's determined according to your weight, and that's a Brown's gas device that you can see there, which is one of the variants of hydrogen therapy. But there are other sort of safety implications coming into play, which is, hydrogen's explosive, and so is oxygen. So, you would be careful not to be in an environment where you hadn't discharged the static beforehand. You might even want to keep your pets away while you're treating yourself with it, but otherwise you could breathe it pretty much all the time. And that's another, great regenerative technology that we can employ. What we don't know at the moment is whether using, this and this, for example, will stimulate the body to have the same effects. I can hypothesize, yes, it will, but how long does that take? Everybody's body's different. Everybody's body's different every day. And one of the issues is, there's so many people out there with damaged guts, damaged immune systems, problems with their gut flora, things like that. So, this is where the sort of combination becomes very interesting for us.
Yeah. So everyone, head over to community.frequencyfamilymarket.com. This is where Michael will be. This is like a little mini website for him, but an interactive one where you can talk to him, ask your questions. I believe that is in the comments below. And then that other page that I was showing, let me just share that again. This is the marketplace that has, let me get over there, has all of Michael's products. We also have a direct link to this page over here in the marketplace. And, of course, this is kind of the vision of why we have both sides. We have the community and the marketplace, because we know that not everybody's going to come over here. And I mean, some of these devices are not cheap. There's a wide range of price here, and you want to be sure that you are purchasing with confidence and that you have already discussed your purchase with Michael. That you are, I mean, he's been so wonderful for this group. I don't know if any of you have seen any of the comments that he's already been helping with so many different questions on the group. And he's just very, very helpful and can really help direct you towards what would really help you. So I know that if I looked at this, I'd be like, I have no clue which one of these is going to be best for me. But I know that going into the community side and discussing this with Michael is really going to help you be able to come to an educated decision. Okay.
Yeah, and it may not even be our equipment, and that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The main thing that matters is if people are better informed, more confident, more competent, they can choose for their own needs, because everyone's needs are different, everyone's preferences are different, and this is why, in fact, I've been writing a book as well recently to help people to ask the right questions for their particular situation, and to bring these sort of, if you like, unasked questions and the hidden assumptions and things like that, and put them squarely on the table so that people can read that and go, right, okay, I've got this problem, or my son, my daughter, my mum, my dad, whoever it is, has this problem. I want to help with that. What's the best option? But what other options might work as well? What are the drawbacks of each one? And then, but we more or less limit our training and our support to, the particular devices that we specialize in. But I would say, whoever's whoever's offering you something, whether it's PEMF or whatever, um, that's a really important sort of box to check. Is what kind of training and support will you get,
Mhm.
as well as potentially hidden costs like upgrades and stuff like that. Because there's as many business models as there are technologies at the moment, and they're growing really fast.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing that I've really loved about you is that you've been very genuine through this whole process, and I know that that you just want to see people get help, whether that is through one of your devices or something else. And you've been really upfront and authentic in that way. So I really appreciate that. Um, so yeah, tell us a little bit more about your book because also that is another thing coming over to that community. Those people will find out about your book first when it comes out, which is I think in March, you said?
Yeah, it's about a month today. It's scheduled for the 14th of March. It's called Frequency Healing. It starts off, we don't make any assumptions really, but it starts off probably with the most exciting stuff, which is what does it do? How well does it work? And we've got photos, we've got X-rays, bone regeneration. That doesn't sound like a big deal because bones knit themselves together, but it's a big deal when someone's lost the top of their bone and it's able to regenerate and regrow again. Burns, spider bites, necrosis, all sorts of different stuff is covered in there. So we want to show people what the possibilities are, first of all. And there's some, I think some really quite inspiring examples there as well, from quite a range of modalities. Then we go into how it works and how the body works. And then we go into, the sort of profound questions, if you like, about each particular modality, and then that really gives people the knowledge about healing crises and tolerance and all of the other things, so that they're going to be very, very well informed people by the time they've read the book. And it's designed to be really simple and straightforward, so that um, it's not like mind melting rocket science kind of stuff. But we also go into the quantum, into remote healing, and how to enhance any modality as well. So and this is sort of why some of the experienced, really quite experienced energy healing practitioners come to us as well. They want an edge. They want to get shorter treatments. They want to have more successful treatments, happier clients, more clients through all the rest of it. So we have to sort of add value for people um, in that way. So that's really the book's designed to be a good read,
Right.
interesting and accessible to anyone. But you'll come out, I'm confident, very, very well informed. Um, but that's sort of, in fact, it sort of supplements the training course as well that we produce.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate you taking out time in your day, Michael, to come and share your knowledge with us, show us what you're up to. Do you have any last words of encouragement, maybe for someone that just feels very lost in their health journey, trying to find solutions?
Yeah, well, it's getting more baffling, isn't it? I was lucky in a way that I was given a golden thread, if you like, to a very, very good technology where I could use it and I could see the results straight away, and I had the training to avoid healing crises and stuff like that, where people can actually feel worse after having a treatment. Um, so in that respect, it was much simpler for me. And it's really quite complicated now because there are so many options, so many different modalities, um, and there's these sort of the unspoken issues, if you like, that we need to deal with. So the most important thing I think is, and I've seen websites selling, 200 or 300 different types of products, and even I'm baffled by it. Well, does this also do that, or is this better? Are they doing different things? I don't know. So we need to get to a sort of point of clarity, if you like, before we start spending our money. Otherwise, if we start off baffled, the chances are we're going to keep baffled. So knowledge is power. Start off by getting information, by speaking to people, and just I would suggest bring some discernment as well as to who's giving you the advice, because ideally, I think if it was me, if it was a friend or a relative of mine, I would say speak to someone who has experience of treating ideally hundreds of people over a good period of years and with multiple different modalities, um, because they'll have that sort of that richness of experience to be able to share with you. And the issue that we all face, even me, is, and that's why I try and ask very, very basic questions when I find a new modality, is we don't know what we don't know. So I try and take all the assumptions off the table and ask the most important basic questions. So, will it work for me? How do I use it? What if I need help? Are there any sort of potential pitfalls or complications to be aware of? Um, I want to get all of those issues on the table and up front. Um, so starting off with information, finding good advice is the most useful thing, and just be a little bit skeptical. It's cool to be skeptical, not downright cynical, but keep open for more information, for refining how you're looking at things and things like that, because this is what Shara and Ben have done with the frequency healing community is just unbelievable. It's an explosion, and then there's this very, very, I know because I got involved in the design of our website. Then there's this incredible pair of websites as well, acting as richer resources for people. Um, but that's the most important thing: is find good people who will be unsparing with their time, especially if you've got a serious problem, who will really take care to try and give you good advice and to be discerning about it and say, these are the contraindications, it won't work in some cases, etc. And to try and give you a really honest and real sort of conversation. So information and asking good questions is the most important place to start. And I wouldn't start until you have that feeling of calm inside yourself, that
Mhm.
you're confident. I know now what my options are. I know what the pros and cons are. I know what I'm looking to spend. I know where I'm going to get my help and support. And now I feel I'm in the right position to make a good decision for me or for my family, whatever those circumstances are. So I feel that's a get the first step right, the foundations. Everything else is going to be much easier for you.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And just to remind everyone, we not only have, which is this is the mission and the vision here, we would not only provide knowledge over in our other community, but we are also providing modalities to help you pair that knowledge with your intuition, being able to learn how to ground your energy, how to get yourself into a place of being able to know when it's your intuition, hearing, getting more in tune with your natural state of being, which is love, peace, joy, health, strength. So we just love all of you. We are so grateful that you're here in this community. We really, truly want you to thrive. We want to help you find the solutions that you're looking for and just be able to expand and grow in this knowledge, in this truth, and in inspiration. So I want to thank Michael again so much for being with us. You have just been a wonderful uh, person to know since I met you last year, and we're so grateful that you are one of our practitioners here and in the sister community. I hope you all will all come and partake of his wonderful knowledge and spirit over there in the group. So
And it's free.
it's
It's free.
free.
So
Yeah.
please do that. It's packed with great people who are there to share and support you on your journey. So take advantage of it. It's an absolute gift.
Yes, indeed. All right. Much love to you all. And we will see you next week. We have Dr. Debbie, I believe, coming to join us. She is just a joy to know as well. So please put that on your calendars. Same time, same place, and we'll see you there. Bye bye.
Thank you, Charla.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.